What if the thing that's supposed to set you free as a designer actually ends up destroying your business? Hey there, I'm Mark Des Cotes, and today we're talking about the real dangers of running a design business from home, the stuff that nobody warns you about. When I first started working from home as a graphic designer, I thought I had it all figured out. No commute, no boss looking over my shoulder, just me, my computer, and complete control over my schedule. Sounds perfect, right? But here's the thing though, working from home isn't for everyone. And honestly, there are some real risks you need to understand before you make this jump. And I'm not trying to scare you. I just want to be straight with you about what you're walking into. So today, I'm breaking down 5 specific dangers that home-based designers face. Now, some of them are obvious. Others, they'll sneak up on you when you're not paying attention. Let's start with the biggest one, your mental state. When you work from home, you're dealing with isolation. And I mean real isolation. There's no water cooler conversations, no coworkers to bounce ideas off of, no one stopping by your desk to chat about the new Netflix show. It's just you and your work day after day. Now, I'm an ambivert. I get energy from people, but I also recharge alone. So for me, isolation isn't a deal breaker. But I've talked to plenty of designers who tell me straight up they can never do it. The silence would drive them crazy. And you know what? That's valid. If you need that social interaction to feel motivated, working from home might not be for you. But isolation is just the beginning. Boredom sneaks up on you too. What happens when business is slow? Or worse, what happens when all your projects are out for client approval and you're just waiting? Most home-based designers hit these lulls. And when they do, that's when things get dangerous. See, when you're bored and you don't have work to focus on, it's easy to convince yourself that, whatever I have to do, I'll do tomorrow, or that you'll start your marketing push next week. But here's what I've learned. Boredom at home is different from boredom at an office. There's nobody watching. There's nobody holding you accountable. Which brings me to the real killer, laziness. I've seen it happen. I've felt it myself. There are mornings when I wake up and I just don't feel like working. So instead of pushing through, I shuffle files around on my computer, I visit random websites, and I convince myself that I'm being productive, when really, I'm just not working. Now the scary part is once that laziness catches hold, it spreads. One day of blowing it off becomes 2 days. 2 days becomes a week. And before you know it, you're missing deadlines, your quality drops, and clients start to notice. I knew an excellent designer in my area, a seriously talented guy who had his own business for over 10 years. He eventually closed it and went to work as an in-house designer for a local company. When I met him and I asked why he did that, he didn't hesitate. He told me the laziness just got to him. He didn't want to work anymore. He started finding excuses not to work. And by the time he realized what was happening, his clients were already leaving him. That's what unchecked laziness can do to your business. Now let's talk about where you work, your environment. When you're working from home, you're surrounded by distractions. And there are good distractions, the kind that feel reasonable in the moment. Your TV is right there. Maybe you started watching a new show over the weekend, and you're only 3 episodes from finishing the season. So you tell yourself, well, I don't have anything to do right now, so I'll just watch 1 episode during lunch hour. Except your lunch break turns into 3 hours and suddenly half your day is gone. Then there's the kitchen distraction. Your kitchen is wrapped in convenience. When you're stuck on a design problem and you just can't quite figure it out, your brain wants a break. So you get up, you walk to the kitchen, you open your pantry, and you grab whatever is easiest. Usually not the healthiest thing. It's so much simpler to grab a cookie or a handful of chips than to prep a salad. I do it all the time. But here's what really gets me about the kitchen and the rest of your home. It's not just the snacking. It's that when you work from an office, you never think about your laundry or the dishes in the sink. Those things are out of sight, out of mind. When you work from home, you see them constantly. There's laundry that needs washing, dishes piling up, maybe a room that needs painting or something broken that needs fixing. These are things you never think about while you're sitting in a studio or an agency office. But at home, they're calling to you, distracting you, pulling you away from actual work. I had to do some plumbing work at my house recently. The water needed to be shut off in order to do it, and I had to turn it off for a few hours. So it made sense to do it when I was home and nobody else was here to need the water. So I took time away from client work to fix it. Was it necessary? Yeah. Did it interrupt my workflow? Absolutely. The point is, working from home means your personal life and your work life are in the same space. And your personal life is always going to be there competing for your attention. Now, this next one's about how you actually work. First up, your hours. When you work from home, you set your schedule. It sounds great, and in a lot of ways, it is. But here's the trap. Creativity doesn't work on a 9-to-5 schedule. You can get inspired at midnight, or you can hit a breakthrough at 6 a.m. on a Saturday. So what happens? You work way more hours than you ever would at an agency. You get on a roll and suddenly it's midnight and you've been working for 12 straight hours. Next thing you know, you're burnt out. I've done it. I've sat in my chair for 6, 7, maybe 8 hours without ever getting up. You lose track of time. Your wife comes home saying she picked up dinner and you realize that you never even stopped for lunch. You were so focused that eating completely left your mind. Now that's not sustainable. That leads to burnout. Social media is the other killer here. YouTube is my vice. I'll tell myself I'm going to watch one Photoshop tutorial, and 40 minutes later, I've fallen down the rabbit hole. I've watched honest trailers. I've watched movies reviews. I've watched How It Should Have Ended. Great videos, by the way. Hours gone, completely absorbed. And here's the thing about social media. The algorithms are designed to keep you there. Marketing people know exactly how to pull you in. They write headlines like, "Photographer was hired to shoot a wedding, but you won't believe what he saw." Of course you click. And one click leads to another, and suddenly you've wasted 3 hours of your day. At an agency, somebody would have noticed. They would have said, "Hey, what are you doing over there?" At home, nobody's watching. Nobody cares until you realize you haven't finished client work because you spent the afternoon on YouTube. Okay, now let's get serious. When you work from home, your clients may find out where you live. Now, maybe that doesn't sound like a big deal, but it can be. Think about it. What happens if there's a fallout with a client? What if they blame you for something that goes wrong? When you work at an agency, you can leave. You can go home. There's a boundary. But when you work from home, there is no boundary. And if you live by yourself, it can be downright dangerous. Now, I've never publicized my home address to clients. I didn't want clients showing up when I may be out and my kids are at home. So I use a mailbox at my local UPS store. That's the address on my business cards. And most of my clients don't know where I actually live. But I know another designer who wasn't as careful. One of her clients became obsessed with her. He thought that their professional relationship had moved over to the romantic side. And he kept showing up at her house uninvited. She had to actually get a restraining order against him. And because she worked from home, there was nowhere she can go to feel safe. Now, I know that's an extreme case, but it actually happened. Now, the second security issue is liability. If your clients come to your home and they slip on ice or trip on the sidewalk and they get injured in any way, do you have the insurance to cover that? At an agency, they have it and they cover it. At home, you need to make sure that your homeowner's insurance actually covers a business operating from your house. Now, I personally have a special rider on my home insurance policy specifically because I run a design business from home, and it covers client injuries and other liabilities. It's worth looking into. Now let's talk about your well-being. This is the one that keeps me up at night, honestly. I'm sitting in my chair by myself day after day. And if something happens, if I have a health emergency, there's nobody there. No coworkers to call 911, no one to help me. If I collapse or if I have a heart attack or slip and hit my head going up or down the stairs, I'm on my own until my family gets home at the end of the day. And that's a real concern when you work alone. But beyond the emergency scenarios, there's the everyday health. Sitting in a chair for 8 hours straight is terrible for your body. You need to move. You need to get up regularly. You need to take your eyes off the screen. You need to eat actual food, not just whatever's fastest to grab. These are things you have to actively decide to do. Nobody's going to do it for you. There's no company wellness program, no coworkers suggesting you take a walk or take a break. It's all on you. So here's the reality. Working from home as a designer is fantastic. The freedom, the control, the ability to set your own rules, that's real. And the rewards are huge. But you have to go in with your eyes open. You have to understand that these dangers are real. Your mental state matters. Your environment matters. How you structure your work matters. And security matters. And finally, your health definitely matters. Not everyone can handle this. Some people need the structure of an office. They need coworkers. They need accountability that comes from outside. And that's okay. But if you're like me, if you thrive on independence, then you need to build a system to protect yourself from these dangers. You need discipline, you need to be honest about your weaknesses, and you need to take your well-being seriously. Because the thing that's supposed to set you free can only do that if you manage it right. Now, if you found this helpful, I'd love for you to subscribe. And if you're struggling with any of these issues right now, please leave a comment below. I want to hear what challenges you're facing with working from home. Until next time, stay creative.